And what we're going to do inside of this master material is we're going to specify that we're going to output the results of this master material into our virtual textures so that they can reference those parameters. So the way that we're going to specify that for Unreal is we're going to right click and we're going to search for runtime virtual texture output. And that's right here. So we're going to click on that. Now what we have to do is we have to link up these parameters into our runtime virtual texture output so that we can reference them. What we're going to do here is from our adjustments layer, and this is the Megascans master material. So if you're using a different landscape material, this might look different, but I'm just going to be using my Megascans default material. So we're going to take this and drag out the result here, and we're just going to search for get material attributes. So we're going to hit enter. So what we need to get here is we're going to go into our attribute get types. We're going to hit the plus button 4 times. We need 4 array elements, and what we need to collect is the base color, the specular, the roughness, and normal. And so now we can just start dragging these over here into this runtime virtual texture output. So we're going to take our base color, specular, roughness, and our normal. But that's not all we need. We also need our world height, and that's going to specify basically at what height our texture is sitting in our world. So the way we can do that is by right clicking, and we can search for world position. This is going to give us our absolute world position, and this is as you can see, input data. And what that means is that it's collecting this information from our world, from our scene here. So we don't have to specify anything really in here. It's just going to collect that data for us. We only want the height data from our world. And the way that we can do that is by using a component mask. So if I click on my landscape here, if we look at our move tool, you can see that the z-axis, which is up and down, you can see it right here. Our z-axis is the blue and our x is red, our green is y. So when we're using a component mask, we actually specify which component of our position data we want to collect based on the color of each axis. So we're going to drag this out and we're going to type in component mask and we're going to hit enter, and we want to filter this so that we're only collecting the blue channel, which is going to be our height like I explained, because that is the z-axis in Unreal. So that's going to give us our world height. So we're going to drag that into our world height. So there is one issue with our normal map here. The reason for that is because naturally our normal is in tangent space, and what we want to do is convert it to world space. So I'm going to alt click on this normal here. We're going to take the normal from our get attributes and we're going to drag it out, and we're going to search for transform. Under vector operations, we're going to find transform and just click on that. Naturally it goes from tangent space to world space. That's what we want for our purposes here. So all we have to do is then take this and drag it into our normal here. That's all we need to do right now in our landscape material. So we can click save. And now if we go back into our scene, we can start working on the next part of this tutorial. So now that we've set up our landscape material, what we need to do is specify that our landscape should be outputting those textures, those properties to our virtual textures here that we have set up. So if we scroll down and we find our virtual texture section, if we hit this array element, we add 2 array elements. First one, we're going to take our RVT underscore height, and let me just save this first. So now is a good time to save, because sometimes if you don't have things set up properly, or depending on what you're doing, it could crash the engine. So we want to take our RVT height, drag it in, and then we're going to take our RVT material and we're going to drag that in. Okay, so we're going to save that again, and now you can see in here that our virtual texture is actually picking up the both the color and the height. You can see those are the kind of little mountains that we've created. And then in here we have our texture that's showing up. So that means we're in good shape. If you're not getting that, you might want to go back and maybe start over, follow from the beginning, because that means that these textures are not being picked up by your runtime virtual textures. So you're going to need to make sure that you're getting these images appearing here, otherwise it's not going to work. So if you follow the steps that I showed you in this order, this should work and you shouldn't have any issues.